Alright, let's take a look at the guitar scale finder features. There's also some chord and arpeggio features that I'll demonstrate over on the guitar arpeggio finder page. But first of all, at the very top, you're going to see a tuning. So right now, by default, this is set to standard tuning, but you can actually choose from some different alternate tunings, drop D or double drop D. But for right now, I'm just going to keep that in standard tuning. Then also at the top, for the different scales, you're going to have the option to show exactly what note something is by name, the intervals, which is how the notes relate to a major scale. A major scale is going to have the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then every other scale is going to be an alteration of that, and I'm going to show you that here in just a second. You also have the option of showing the scales either in a right-handed format, or for lefties, there's a left-handed format. For this demonstration, I'm just going to keep it in right-handed format, which is kind of the same perspective as a chord chart. So you're going to see the line over on the far left, the vertical line is the 6th string, and the line on the very far right is going to be your 1st string, the thinnest string, highest sounding string. All right, now let's take a look at how you might use the scale finding feature here. The first thing is you see these major headings here. One says chords and one says scales. And even though this says chords, what you see right here would be the root of the scale, the main note of the scale. So we still need to use this first column over here. And I'm going to set this to a C. And I'm going to go back to my notes so you see the actual notes of a C major scale. And right now, the way that this is set, it's showing all of the notes of a C major scale all over the neck up to the 12th fret. Now, it's great to get an overall view of all of the notes that are in a particular scale, but that's not extremely useful when trying to learn some scale patterns. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to the very bottom of the scale finder here, and it says set size of scope here on the bottom left side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this, just kind of click over on this left double arrow here, and I'm going to lower that down to 5. And the reason is most guitar scale forms are going to be at the most a stretch of 5 frets. Any more than that and you're just a lestic man, and you'd have to be doing some big stretches or shifts. And so what we're looking for right here are just some kind of usable scale forms. And so the next thing is, just to the right of that, there's a scope fret position. Right now there's a 1. That means starting in the 1st fret. And if I kind of click that up, it just kind of takes scale positions going on up the neck. But I'm going to start with that first position where notes are going to be in the 1st fret. Now, so you could play this particular scale form, but one thing to take a look at in this particular one is I have a C note here. Oh, it disappeared. All right, I have a C note here that would be on the 5th fret of the 3rd string, and then there's also a C note here on the 2nd string at the 1st fret. That's actually the exact same note. So if you were playing this as a scale form, you would want to choose one option or the other. So it kind of gives you 2 small variations of that particular scale form. Now again, I could switch this over to intervals and see, I just see these numbers, 4, 5, 6. 1 is the root of the scale. That's the C. So a C major scale is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's major scales are always the notes or the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now, I'm going to go and move up 1 fret. So I'm going to now move so that the lowest note would be on the 2nd fret. So now I get a different kind of scale pattern that is C major that I can play. And this time there isn't any doubling up, so I don't have to choose one note or the other. Up to the 3rd fret, you know, another scale position. So they're going on up there. You know, I got another situation where I've got, you know, a G on one string, and then the very next string there's a G, so I'd want to choose one or the other. But this is a great way to find some different fingerings that you might not have thought of for some different scales. And this has major and, you know, harmonic minor, melodic minor. There's, you know, a ton of different. Well, you must learn your Superlocrian. That's, if you're a jazzer, you know, Superlocrian is actually used quite a bit. So even though it sounds like a funny mode, it is a common jazz scale that's used. So there's just a ton of them here to do that. Also, in the details section right here, you see the name of the scale and then the different intervals. And so in this case, this, you know, C Superlocrian mode here, it says the intervals are 1, flat 2, flat 3, 3, flat 5, sharp 5, and a flat 7. And what that means is a C major scale was just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So a flat 2 is just a half step or 1 fret lower than where the second note of the major scale would be. So a C major scale was a C and a D, a 1 and a 2. This C Superlocrian is 1 flat 2, so it would be C and then a D flat. All right, so I hope that gives you an idea of how you might be able to use this scale finder to help kind of broaden your different types of scales that you might play. Just give you some different ideas of some ways to play the scales up and down the neck.